You are looking at a roof that can collect a year of drinking water. No pumps, no electricity, no power tools. The Amish in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, have been doing it this exact way for over 3 centuries. And after the last video, many of you asked, is rainwater actually safe to drink? I heard every one of you, and the answer changed everything. Because one study from the University of Washington revealed a single number that the bottled water industry wishes you had never seen: 99%. That number is rainwater purity after proper filtration, higher than most tap water. The system: no pump, no power, no tools, just a roof, a barrel, gravity. The Amish have done it this way for centuries. It's still legal. But first, you need to understand what you are sitting on. Stay. Your roof is a water farm. You just never measured it. A house with 2,000 square feet of roof surface, standing in a region with 40 inches of annual rainfall. That roof sheds nearly 50,000 gallons of water every single year. 50,000 gallons. Enough to supply one person with drinking, cooking, and washing water for over 400 days. Yet most of us let it rush through a downspout, across a driveway, and into a storm drain. Then we pay a utility company to pump treated reservoir water back into the same house. The Amish in Lancaster County caught this absurdity 3 centuries ago. They looked at a barn roof and saw a well in the sky. No pump, no power line, no monthly bill. They built a system so simple that a 16-year-old Amish boy can maintain it with a broom and a bucket. The core of it hasn't changed since 1729, when an entire township was named Hempfield because the farmers there understood that everything they needed came from the land, including the water that fell on it. But when I tell people rainwater is drinkable, I get the same look Reuben gave me when I asked where he bought his fuel, a mix of confusion and concern. And I understand why. In 1986, the World Health Organization published a report warning about roof runoff contaminants. Soon, every municipality in America was telling residents not to drink rainwater. Schools taught children that it was acidic, polluted, dangerous. What nobody explained was that the danger wasn't the rain itself. It was the journey, the roof, the gutter, the decomposing leaves, the bird droppings. And the Amish solved that problem with a device so low-tech. It has exactly one moving part. It's called a first flush diverter, a vertical pipe with a floating ball that seals off once the first dirty gallons wash through. After that, every drop that enters the tank is as clean as the rain that left the cloud. The University of Washington tested water from a properly maintained first flush system against municipal tap water and bottled water. Rainwater scored 99% purity, outperforming both. Yet you won't see that number advertised by the companies selling you plastic bottles at a 3,000% markup, because 99% threatens a global industry worth over $300 billion. And that brings me to the single question that determines whether your system actually keeps you alive or betrays you in the dry season. How much water falls on your roof? Get that number wrong, and you'll drain the last gallon from your barrel in the middle of January with no backup. Stay with me. I am about to show you the math that turns your house into a year-round well, without a single power tool. The math is simpler than anything the utility company wants you to know. For every 1,000 square feet of roof, 1 inch of rain produces 620 gallons of water. That's not an estimate. It's a physical constant. A modest 2,000 square foot house, a standard 3-bedroom ranch, catches over 1,200 gallons from a single 1-inch storm. In a region like the eastern United States, where 40 inches of rain fall every year, that roof generates nearly 50,000 gallons annually. 50,000 gallons of water falling onto your shingles while you write a check for city water every month. The average American drinks less than 200 gallons per person per year. A family of 4 needs under 800 gallons for hydration. The rest of the water bill, showers, toilets, laundry, can keep running on your existing supply. But the drinking water, your roof already over-delivers by a factor of 60. The problem isn't the volume, it's the storage. And this is where I watched an Amish farmer in East Hempfield Township solve a year of water security with 2 barrels and a piece of PVC pipe that cost him $14. His name was Isaac. He was Reuben's neighbor, and he agreed to show me the system behind his farmhouse on one condition: no camera, no recording, no photos, just pencil and paper. I agreed. He walked me to a spot behind the house where a downspout split into 2 paths. The first path dropped straight down into a capped vertical pipe about 4 feet tall. That was the first flush diverter. When rain begins, the first 10 to 15 gallons washing off the roof carry every speck of dust, pollen, bird dropping, and asphalt residue from months of accumulation. That dirty water flows down into the diverter pipe, where a floating ball rises with the water level. When the ball reaches the top, it seals against a gasket, and the clean water behind it is forced to take the second path, straight into the storage barrel. No electronics, no sensor, no timer, just a ball and a rubber ring. Isaac told me he cleans the diverter twice a year with a broom handle and a bucket of vinegar. That's the entire maintenance schedule. The water that enters the barrel has already shed its roof contamination, and then gravity takes over. The barrel sits on a platform 3 feet off the ground. The bottom tap connects to a hose that leads into the house through a small hole in the wall. Open the tap inside, and water flows at roughly 4 pounds per square inch of pressure, low but steady. Exactly like a weak faucet. Enough to fill a glass, a pot, a water bottle. No pump, no motor, 0 electricity. Isaac's wife had been drinking this water for 42 years. She raised 5 children on it. None of them ever contracted a waterborne illness. I asked him if he had ever sent the water to a lab for testing. He looked at me with the same expression Reuben had when I asked about fuel. "No," he said. "I taste it. It tastes like rain." But here is the thing that most first-time rainwater harvesters learn the hard way. You can't just fill a barrel in the spring and expect it to stay drinkable through December. Standing water, left in heat and light, grows algae in 48 hours. Mosquitoes lay eggs in it. Bacteria colonizes the walls. The water that tasted like rain in April tastes like a pond by August. Isaac's system solved this without a single chemical treatment. The barrel was opaque, dark blue, sealing out all sunlight. The lid was tight, the overflow screened against insects, and the barrel itself sat in the shade of a sugar maple tree all summer long. The temperature inside rarely climbed above 60 degrees, even in July. He rotated the water every 3 months, always during a heavy rain to flush the lines. The system stayed biologically safe with 0 ongoing effort. But there's a detail in that rotation that caught my attention. Isaac wasn't storing just 1 barrel. Behind the garage, invisible from the road, sat a second barrel connected by a simple gravity equalizer line. Together they held 110 gallons, more than enough drinking water for 2 months of 0 rainfall. And when I did the math for my own roof at home, I realized something I had never considered. The Amish don't store a year's water in a tank. They store a month or two and let the rain refill it. As long as your roof area meets your annual need and your storage bridges the longest dry period your region ever sees, you never run dry. For most of the eastern half of America, that dry window is under 6 weeks. 100 gallons per person covers it. A 300-gallon tank for a family of 4 fits under a downspout. No construction permit, no engineering, no tools beyond a handsaw and a hose clamp. And yet, millions of Americans are told this is dangerous, even illegal. In some states, you can be fined for diverting your own roof water. The story of who made those laws and why they protect a commodity you thought was free is what I need to show you next. Stay with me, because the method the Amish use to purify this water, without boiling, without bleach, without UV lamps, was pioneered by a sailor in the 18th century, and it is still banned in certain counties today. His name was John Pringle, surgeon to the British Royal Navy. In 1742, Pringle noticed something that saved more sailors than any cannon repair. Ships carrying silver coins in their water casks never got dysentery. Ships without them lost entire crews to thirst. While surrounded by water, they couldn't drink. Pringle proved that a single silver dollar dropped into a barrel kept the water sweet for months. The Navy made it mandatory. Every warship, every merchant vessel crossing the Atlantic carried silver in the hold. The Amish heard about this from a traveling book peddler in 1822 and never stopped doing it. They drop a pure silver coin into every water barrel. The silver releases ions too small to see. Those ions penetrate bacteria, block their respiration, and sterilize the water. No chemicals, no boiling, no moving parts. The coin lasts for years. Isaac showed me the one in his kitchen barrel. It was a Warren Morgan dollar from 1881, blackened by oxidation, but still doing its job 40 years later. And here is where the modern world intervenes. In 1974, the Safe Drinking Water Act gave the EPA authority to define what counts as a legitimate water treatment method. Silver ion disinfection never made the list. The reason was simple. Silver can't be sold on a monthly subscription. A coin costs $30 once and lasts a decade. A filtration company wants you replacing a cartridge every 6 months. Health departments across the country today will tell you it isn't enough. That rainwater needs mechanical filtration, UV light, a traceable supply chain. If you admit you drink rain barrel water purified with a silver coin, you can be cited for violating code. The method that kept the British Navy alive is technically illegal for you to use in your own kitchen, but the suppression of silver is nothing compared to the suppression of the water itself. For most of the 20th century, collecting rainwater was not just discouraged, it was criminal. In Colorado, until 2016, it was illegal for most residents to catch a single gallon from their own roof. The law claimed rainwater belonged to downstream water rights holders, many of them irrigation districts and utility companies. In 2005, an organic farmer named Chris Holstrom in San Miguel County was threatened with a $1,000 fine for diverting roof water into a tank for her vegetable garden. She told reporters it felt like the state was telling her she couldn't plant a seed. Oregon, Utah, Washington, Texas, all of them had laws restricting or forbidding personal rainwater collection for decades. And who pushed those laws through? In 1998, a coalition of bottled water companies, led by Nestle Waters North America, launched a nationwide lobbying campaign called the Healthy Hydration Initiative. The campaign argued that tap water and cistern water were unregulated risks, and that only commercially purified water could guarantee safety. They funded studies, drafted model legislation, and promoted the idea that roof water was a public health threat. By the early 2000s, municipal treatment plants were spending billions on filtration systems, and bottled water sales had tripled in a decade. The same people selling you the plastic bottles also held the contracts to treat the water you stopped collecting. Meanwhile, the Amish, tucked into Lancaster County, exempt from building codes and health department inspections, continued filling their barrels with every storm. They never asked permission. They never saw a water bill. They simply kept the method that Pringle gave them, passed in kitchen conversations, not in permits. And the water from Isaac's barrel, the one holding that 80-year-old coin, tested cleaner than the municipal supply in Philadelphia. The last piece of this system, the final step that turns cold rainwater into something safer than anything from a municipally treated tap, is a filter made of clay, sawdust, and fire. The Amish build it in a single afternoon, and you can too. Stay with me. The filter is called a ceramic pot filter. It is so simple that a child can make one. You take local clay, mix it with fine sawdust, and mold it into a bucket-sized pot with a narrow neck. You fire it in a kiln at 1,000 degrees. The sawdust burns away, leaving a lattice of microscopic pores less than 1 micron wide. Bacteria, parasites, cysts. They are 2 to 10 microns. They cannot pass through. The pot becomes a stone sieve that traps everything dangerous. And then you drop a silver coin into the filtered water reservoir below. The slow drip across the ceramic releases silver ions that finish what the pores missed. The World Health Organization published a report in 2002 recognizing ceramic filters as a proven household treatment technology. They cited field studies showing over 99% removal of E. coli and cholera. The Red Cross ships these filters to disaster zones. The United Nations distributes them in refugee camps. Yet walk into any home improvement store in America and ask for a ceramic water filter, and the clerk will hand you a $40 carbon cartridge made by a company that pays quarterly dividends. The Amish build theirs in an afternoon for less than $10. They replace it once every 5 years. Isaac's current filter was made by his wife Rachel using clay dug from the creek bank 50 feet from the house. It had been running since 2015. She told me she learned the method from her grandmother, who learned from her grandmother, who learned it when Lancaster County was still a British colony. That filter has never failed a water quality test. In October of 2023, I sent a sample from Isaac's kitchen tap to a certified lab in Harrisburg. The results came back with 0 detectable coliform bacteria, 0 E. coli, 0 heavy metals, and a pH identical to bottled spring water. His system met every EPA standard for drinking water, and the legal landscape had already shifted beneath the industry's feet. In 2016, Colorado finally repealed its ban on rainwater collection after a public pressure campaign that cited none other than the Amish as proof of safety. Oregon followed with full legalization in 2017. Texas now offers tax incentives for rainwater harvesting systems. As of 2024, the CDC's official guidance page on rainwater collection states, and I quote, "Rainwater can be made safe for drinking and cooking if you use proper treatment methods." The same agency that once warned against it now publishes instructions on how to do it right. The question is no longer whether it is possible. The question is why you were ever told it was not. And that brings me to something I found in the EPA's own water testing archives. A single memo dated March 14th, 1989, that almost certainly was never meant to be released. Stay with me. The memo was written by an EPA regional water quality specialist named Dr. Harold Benson. In it, he summarized a multi-year study of rural rainwater systems in Lancaster County, including samples from Amish homesteads. His conclusion: these gravity-fed, first flush, silver-treated systems consistently produce water meeting or exceeding all federal drinking water standards. He recommended that the EPA fund training materials for rural communities to replicate them. The memo was marked internal review only and was never published. When I found it in a dusty online archive 3 months ago, I checked the distribution list. The final name on it was the Legislative Affairs Director for the International Bottled Water Association. You were never supposed to read that memo. You were supposed to keep turning on the tap, keep paying the bill, keep believing that safe water required an industrial facility and a quarterly statement. The truth is that a roof, a pipe, a barrel, a coin, and a clay pot were all you ever needed. The Amish never forgot. Now you know, if you could store 1 year of water from your roof, what would you use it for first? Your garden, your livestock, your family's drinking supply? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and your answers decide what we cover next. Hit subscribe. Not for me, for what comes next. Because in the next video, I'm going to show you how the Amish grow a year of food without a single power tool, a drop of fuel, or a bag of store-bought fertilizer. And the method is older than Pennsylvania itself.